Hi, my name is John, and in this video I want to talk a little bit about the nature of happiness. In this video, I'm going to be inventing or creating distinctions within the distinction happiness, and they will be as follows. So the first one will be unconditional happiness, and the second one we'll call conditional happiness. And what I'm suggesting here is that addressing both of these domains of happiness is important for your overall sense of fulfillment, well-being in life. I'll go first for the unconditional part. And unconditional happiness is, just as the name states, it's happiness that is not dependent on conditions. So whether things are good or bad for you, it doesn't matter. You're happy regardless. And how do you attain this unconditional happiness? I can think of two main ways, and there may be others, but the first one is to directly experience your true nature, or what you existentially or fundamentally are. This is called enlightenment or spiritual awakening or something like this, a direct consciousness. And what you find out in these events, what you find out in directly experiencing what you are existentially, is that you are not a person. You're not defined by your personality. You are not actually even in the world, so to speak. You are consciousness. You are the witnessing presence of all of being. You are being, undefined, infinite, without quality or form, being. This gives you access to unconditional happiness because as this being, you don't depend on anything for your survival. You are free from the game of life. You are free from suffering and death and the need for things to go this or that way. So as consciousness, as absolute being, which is what you actually are, you're free from suffering. And so what happens naturally, or one of the natural qualities of this true nature, is happiness, unconditional happiness or joy. And there's a lot of positive qualities that come with this, fortunately for us. When you realize your true nature, you come in contact with this natural sense of awe, of beauty of the universe. You come in contact with a love that transcends conditions, which makes you really happy. So you realize that I am this absolute consciousness, as is everyone else, and there's just a natural love for this self. It's self-love in the end. You come in contact with a deeper level of intelligence that is beyond the headspace intelligence. It's kind of the intelligence that organizes life in a big way. It's a big intelligence. A joy and humor about life comes because the pressure of survival is taken off, the burden of identity is lifted. There's a lot of qualities, a lot of positive qualities that come from experiencing your true nature. Also, you have a new level of clear thinking because it's not muddled by, when consciousness is ingrained in self-mind thinking, it can only operate under those parameters, or it works as a self-mind works. When consciousness is outside of or free from that dynamic, it's free to operate in a lot of different ways. That's a big topic, but for this video, that'll be enough. So directly experiencing your true nature or enlightenment allows you access to unconditional happiness. Another way to access this unconditional happiness is to create a mind structure or transform your mind into one that is naturally unconditionally happy. So this is a matter of training your mind to interpret things as, let's say, for example, oh, I broke my leg. Okay, that's okay. I'm still happy. For no reason. I'm just choosing to be happy. Or it could be always like seeing the silver lining, or anything like this. This is a matter of transforming your mind, the way that you're thinking and relating to the world. And this can be extremely powerful, and I highly recommend this too. Again, there's a lot to be said on that topic, but we'll leave it for now. So, experiencing your true nature, which is free from suffering and is naturally happy, and then creating a mind or a self-shape, a self-structure that interprets life in a positive way. And this requires training, research, and genuine transformation. Both of these are going to help you get that unconditional happiness, which is happiness that is present even when the shit hits the fan and you're suffering immensely. The other domain of happiness is conditional happiness, and I think that this actually shouldn't be neglected at all, and it's worthwhile endeavor to pursue this conditional happiness. And this is the case because you do have to live the life, you do have to act in the world, and if you do so in a way that makes you happy, things just go a lot better. And so this conditional happiness can be fostered by creating conditions that allow for happiness to naturally arise. And as humans, there are some things that we can do that just naturally facilitate this happiness. And again, this whole domain is worthy of volumes of work, but just here I'll just hit the basics. So the first one that comes to mind is mental conditions. You have to create a mental condition that allows for you to be happy. And the way that you go about this is basically by keeping a good mental hygiene. So you make sure your mind is straight and clean and well taken care of. You do this by meditating regularly. You should be meditating every day for sure. Reading books that expand your mind and keep you growing. A constant upward spiral will really help you be happy because you see into the future, you see things going your way, you see things improving, so on and so forth. So making sure your mental health is in check by keeping good hygiene with meditation, continuously researching and growing, and then practicing certain mental habits, which kind of ties back into the unconditional thing. But this is something that can be trained as well, and this is new ways of thinking. This occurs more in like the manifestation domain or the more new agey stuff. Creating positive self-esteem stuff and things like that. Creating those conditions fosters happiness. So that's mental, and there's so much to be said about that, but I'm not going to say it here. The next one is physical. So you need to make sure that your muscles, joints, tissues, and organs are all functioning well. They're all in a healthy state that allows for movement of feeling and blood and energy. This allows for a lot of happiness and fulfillment in life. If you're grogged down and unhealthy, it's harder to be happy. If you're in pain or chronic pain, it's harder to be happy. So take care of this whole domain. Mental, physical, and then the social domain. So make sure that you are interacting with people that facilitate your happiness. If your friends or your family are bringing you down, you must create some distance between you and them such that they can't bring you down, or relate to them in a new way that doesn't bring you down or doesn't make you unhappy anymore. This is a big thing that people miss. It can be really useful to have a group of friends that help you facilitate your own happiness. So that's the social domain. Another thing is doing what I would call shadow work, or what we can call getting the skeletons out of the closet work, which has to do with you just sitting down, maybe meditating, maybe taking some psychedelics, even going to therapy, and dealing with the things that you don't naturally want to deal with or that you want to ignore. This will help lighten the load on your psychic process and allow it to be more light and free, and so happiness flows more readily from this. And then a final distinction or a final domain that I will address here on conditional happiness is organizing your life such that what you actually want to occur starts to occur. The work that you want to do, you're doing, and your dream is fulfilled, so to speak. And this has to do with life purpose, career stuff, creative pursuits, whatever your thing is, make sure you're doing what makes you happy or what makes you fulfilled. And happiness, fulfillment is a lot more likely to arise naturally when you're on this right path. You know, it's different for everybody, but the important thing is that you know that you're doing what you should be doing. And it's not like we all should be doing the same thing, but you know what you want to do, or you know what you don't want to do, and it's best to move in that direction. So that's unconditional happiness and conditional happiness, just a cursory overview of these two domains of happiness and fulfillment. And on a closing note, I just want to say that in order to attain either of these types of happiness or either of these subcategories of happiness, you have to do work. You have to actually want to be happy, and then go ahead and put in the time and effort to work on it. So I suggest you do that. You can start now by installing some very basic habits, happiness habits. The main one being meditating. A daily meditation practice is huge for happiness. Make sure you're eating good food. Make sure you're exercising regularly. And make sure your friends don't suck, because that sucks. And finally, go for enlightenment. Go for a direct experience of your true nature. This will probably be the most dramatic increase in your happiness, because the freedom from self, the freedom from the delusion that you are a particular person, nothing's better. Nothing liberates you from suffering more rapidly than that kind of shift. And so go for it. I won't talk about enlightenment here, but you can do your own research, and maybe I'll post a video about it later. Thanks for watching.